Welcome to the AirPower Airwaves, the AirPower Manufacturing Solutions podcast series where we talk about manufacturing issues that impact you. Welcome to the first ever AirPower Airwaves podcast. A lot of people did not see this coming that we would actually start podcasting. I'm just glad that I have Dan Senff, the president of AirPower, with us today. I work for Dan. He signs my paycheck, so I got to be careful what questions I ask him today. But I want to welcome you to the podcast. AirPower Airwaves is the podcast name. You'll be able to find this. If you didn't find it through that way, you can find this by going to airpowerairwaves.com. It is the sister of airpowerlive.com, which has definitely gained traction in social media over the last 2 to 3 years. Last year was kind of a banner year for us with AirPower and social media. It's really picked up. Get a couple things out of the way. If you've got any questions, you want to pose ideas to us for future podcasts, or if you have questions about this podcast when you review it, you can hit me up, email me at travis@airpowerairwaves.com. We'll put all these on the screen there. What is the purpose of this podcast? In general, is to educate our customers, more importantly, potential customers that learn that they need and want to do business with AirPower on leading tools, equipment, and engineered solutions in multiple industries now. I mean, I guess AirPower's never been really one-dimensional. I guess we've always kind of had our feet in or our business in different segments, but now more than ever, that is so splintered and segmented with our business. We'll get into that here in a little bit. So if you want to hear something, you want to hear us cover a subject matter, we're glad to do that. We have a lot of experts here that we're going to be calling on at AirPower to join me for this podcast. So welcome to the first one. We do have a couple that we will be setting up. Couple more podcasts. I will announce those. We're going to be doing one. We're going to be filming one tomorrow, recording one tomorrow on the service and repair department with Tim Hines here in High Point. And we have one coming very soon about a very important subject of when you're going down the path and you're thinking of setting up an oven. You need an oven in your process, no matter what size. You need a powder coating booth, or you need a liquid finishing booth of any kind. Might be an adhesive booth. What do you need to be thinking about? Because there's a lot of oh no that can happen if you throw down a PO and you buy something, and then later on you figure out, well, that doesn't quite do what I need it to do.
Right.
Historically, that one that's we added a bunch of panels to our booth. And now we don't have enough airflow because the fan and the motor aren't big enough to move the air. So, there's a lot of things to consider early on. Well, I want to introduce Dan Senff. If you don't know him, you're going to know him in a few minutes. So, Dan, welcome to AirPower Airwaves, the very first guest.
I appreciate it, Travis. I'm excited to be here. Excited to kick this off, and excited to see kind of where this goes. Not just this one, but obviously going forward. So
absolutely,
it's a cool opportunity, I think, for us to kind of talk about our business. Certainly, this opportunity, and talk to our customers about our business and what we do, and I think what excites us so much about is kind of who we are and what we do as AirPower.
Absolutely. Let's talk about you a little bit. We are going to talk a lot about AirPower in this podcast, but kind of setting up where we are these days. But you're at the helm. You're driving the ship. I'm just an oar guy. I'm over there every day, moving through. I'm trying to row. But you've given us a really good cadence in the past number of years, which I appreciate. Not sucking up, that's just honesty. What I want to do is talk. I want to find out a little bit more of you. Who is Dan Senff?
Sure.
Tell us about your background. You know what? Obviously, all roads lead to Air Power in your professional life because that's where you are. But
Sure.
where did that start out?
So a little bit about me. Let's see. Grew up in the middle of nowhere, Indiana. Not a farm kid, but grew up really around cornfields and basketball hoops. That's about all it was. Kind of where I grew up. So spent my my childhood there. Went off to Purdue as an undergrad. Studied engineering, and as we like to say, Hoosier by birth, Boilermaker by the grace of God.
Yep.
As a Purdue Boilermaker. So got my undergrad there. Got a job working for Ingersoll Rand. Did that for really 19 and a half years in total, right? So I started with them in an accelerated development program, which required sort of rotations around different types of roles, different types of opportunities. I was a manufacturing engineer, and I really did that as a process engineer for 8 to 10 years, really operations focused. Moved around a lot, spent time as a manufacturing engineer, ended up getting into marketing, some project management, and then into sales. So across multiple businesses, so worked for the material handling business, ran a material handling business for Ingersoll Rand, worked in the compressor business, worked in some part of the Torrington bearing business, got out into sales, took a territory, spent some time in Indiana, and sort of through that time, got to know actually Air Power through just another relationship. Moved back and forth to North Carolina 3 times, actually the third time back here. I say the third time is the charm, but moved in and out of North Carolina several times and met Air Power probably now 20 years ago.
So you were actually a manufacturer's rep in the field. You were in the sales arm of Ingersoll Rand, and you were working with our tool teams or our account managers in the field trying to provide solutions as a
as a manufacturer rep, right? Just like the manufacturers we deal with today, right? I was that guy on the other side as a manufacturer. So that's how I got to know Air Power, and certainly thought a lot of the organization and really the people. Got to know a little bit of the culture here and just sort of who the people were and what Air Power was about. I was certainly drawn to that, and we had conversations. I had conversations with multiple people about, maybe someday, right? If things were to ever work out. So, the last role that I had with Ingersoll Rand was a director of sales for the South, and I joked that it was the South of Canada because I had the whole East Coast and down underneath Tennessee all the way over to Nevada, and Air Power was one of my accounts or one of my account managers' accounts, and honestly, we. Through that process of moving multiple times with the company, multiple opportunities, and getting a lot of different functional responsibility, sales was certainly something I gravitated towards, and had some opportunities to, effectively run some small business units within Ingersoll Rand. But having a couple of kids, I've got 3 kids, a wife and 3 kids, and our kids were young, still are fairly young. And really the transition for us from Ingersoll Rand to Air Power was just around the amount of travel, right, that job required. I found myself leaving Monday, coming home Friday. And my wife and I just, we kind of sat down and talked about what we wanted for ourselves and also for our kids. And that's just not what I was necessarily looking for, was to be gone all the time. Sometimes jobs require that. Certainly understand that.
I can certainly relate, and that actually can it can pull your family in many different directions. And coming from another road warrior that spent a very long time on the Sunday night, Monday morning out on a plane and all over North America and back on Thursday night, Friday night, or sometimes Saturday morning, you have to, at some points, you have to step back and go, it's a little much.
Sure.
Not working for me.
Yeah. So we made that transition and had some conversations, obviously, with Air Power, and Air Power had Air Power at the time, and still somewhat set up really with 3 different business units. And the tool and assembly side of the business was something that I was very familiar with. So my conversations with Air Power at that time were around coming here, learning that side of the business, right? Actually leading that side of our business and really learning about the other two sides of our business, right? The finishing side of our business, the seal and adhesive side of our business. So that's how I made the transition here to Air Power. That was 2015. I started here in August of 2015 and spent a little over a year running that tool and assembly solutions side of our business, building some additional team members there, right, and then learning about the other parts of our business. And then in
that's interesting, because that was when you say you brought some other people in. We're talking Kevin Averett, we're talking Kyle Crawford,
Yep.
who are both management now within the organization. So
Yep.
that speaks a lot about the structure that you build and what happens with that. So
Yeah.
it's positive.
Yeah, so just to kind of talk about that transition, I stepped into this role as the president in December 2016,
Right.
I guess. So that's four years really in this role, December. So it's been awesome. Love the job, love the company, love what we're about, love the people, and certainly a lot to learn. Coming from where I came from, and some of the conversations that I remember having with several of the manufacturing partners, right, that didn't come from the tool and assembly world, right. Some of the guys on the finishing side, I know some of the thought process around, quite honestly, like, what does this guy know about finishing, right? But I sort of fashion myself as a business person. I understand business. I feel like I understand customers, and the process is the process, and it's no different than quite honestly, what we sort of preach and teach to our account managers is about making sure that we understand the customer's process. It's
Right.
not, we don't have the ability to necessarily make recommendations about what they should do differently until we clearly understand their process.
Right. But to just speak on your behalf a little bit, you got to understand that not every person in a management role will take the path that you did, because I've been in a lot of training here. Air Power is very serious about training, our teams and cross training. And, I'm kind of pigeonholed, or have been with Air Power, because I represent a certain segment, but I have skills outside that segment.
Sure.
And those are utilized when needed. I go and do kind of what I need to do to support the organization. But I've been in a lot of training in our own finishing lab, and you, tool guy by trade, that world, in the last 4 years, when there's a training going on, you're there, you're active, and you're not talking behind somebody else and trying to pull or distract. You're actually in there punching buttons, moving things around, trying to figure out things that work. So, and how the process works. So that's appreciated also, because it's a hands-on situation.
Well, I mean, I like to believe. I believe in lead by example, right? So, I mean, we do believe heavily in training. We do invest heavily in training. We ask our teams to better themselves, right? So that we can become a better service and solution for our customers.
Correct.
And I think it's important, just as important for me as it is for you, as it is for the marketing team or Cabrina or account managers or whoever that might be.
All right, so we covered what I wanted to get covered in that section. So I want to move down here and let's talk a little bit about Air Power. Air Power has been in business since, if I remember right, 1967.
Correct. Yep.
That was Bill Ball.
Correct.
William Ball.
Yep.
And his wife Alice Ball started the company here in High Point. What was the product offering like back in the day?
Yeah, so if you look at our, kind of our footprint and where our business started, heavy furniture industry, right? So I think William started a lot with the Aero product line, right? He was an Aero tool sales guy, right?
Okay.
And that's how he really kind of came to Air Power and started
the
started
pumps
this
and
business. Pumps. Yeah. I think actually he was integral in design, right? The help the design of the aero diaphragm pump, like the first aero diaphragm
And
pump.
I guess primarily that was in concern with in dealing with the furniture business here in High Point, which was furniture capital of the world.
Correct.
Which was moving paints or paint stains, lacquers
Yep.
throughout the plant.
Yep, that's right. So that's how the business started, and obviously grown from there. I mean, there's a core group. You talk about the number of people. We still have, I think, employee number 2, honestly, here
Right.
as part of Air Power that started.
You're right.
With William and Alice, David Gunner. So
David Gunner.
which is a cool story, and it kind of, I think, speaks to who Air Power is as a company. Certainly the way that I think we value our employees. I think if you look at I think we've got roughly 145 employees in total, and we've got a really good mix of, I would say, youth and experience. And I don't mean that we have old people. I just mean the amount of years of tenure. Right, we have a really good mix of people who've been here 5 years and less, and people that have been here 15 years and greater. And I think it's I think the kind of company we are, I think draws people here and keeps people here. I think we believe
Absolutely.
in investing in people and allowing people to grow, promoting from within. Those are key things. I know that I certainly am a fan of, and we try to promote. So,
touching back on your comment, regarding the original employees, I mean, just in the last 2 or 3 years, I mean, this company's 53 years old.
Mm-hmm.
It says a lot when you still have 4 or 5 of the original 10 that have just retired, like in the last 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
And that there's still one here.
Yeah.
It's pretty phenomenal. And he's very active and very intelligent. I think if you talk to anybody in this organization, anything about powder coating, they're going to go see David Gunner, because he's kind of like the know everything in that realm.
Yeah, some of the history, I'm probably not even the most knowledgeable, certainly, right? If you had somebody like David Gunner in here, I remember when we were going through the process of our rebrand and looking at our logo and looking sort of at the triangle, right? If you asked 4 different people about how that was derived, you'd get 4 different answers about how it was derived. But I think ultimately I got the answer maybe from David Gunter when he talked about High Point, he talked about Lenore, and he talked about Salem, and those were really the first 3 branch locations that we opened up. And so that's sort of where that logo came from. So, and obviously we've grown, through the years and expanded. I like to say that we're a large, small company, right? I mean, for a small company, we're pretty big. We've got 9 branches across the Southeast. We've got a branch in Mexico, and we serve a lot of different markets. We get asked all the time about what markets do we serve. I mean, we serve general industry is a broad category. We say that, right? But it really is very general, right? We're not so heavily focused on a place like, say, just automotive.
Yeah, I just heard one of our account managers, Eddie Rhodes, the other day he said it so well. He said, Air Power is big enough to serve and small enough to care. The customer doesn't necessarily get lost in the shuffle. It's just not just a decision. It's an actual, we're at the level now where we offer very good, quality care and support to companies that gets lost in the big shuffle.
Yeah, and I think some of that, I really do think some of that is by design. If you look at some of the things that we've done over the last couple of years, for example, with our service capability, one of the things we've talked about is being able to try to get service capability closer to the customer, right? We can't service everybody effectively from High Point as we go now from, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware, all the way down to Florida, and then over to Tennessee and Alabama and Mississippi. Right. It's a lot of geography to cover. It's important to us that we have not only account managers, right, but service capability close to the customers.
Right.
So
now I'm going to touch on that a little bit. I've got some things that we want to talk about. But
okay.
Before that, when we talk about the structure of the company, I really want to talk about these 3 words that are right up above our heads. If you see an Air Power logo these days, after our 4-year-old rebranding, roughly, it was a process of about a year.
Yeah.
A year to 2 years it took to get through all that. but I was actively involved. Cabrina, Amanda, yourself, Scott Lawrence, other people. There was a lot of people involved.
Yep.
But I remember the very first meeting that we all sat down, and we had a gentleman come over here that ran a company that worked with people on rebranding and refocusing, and split us up into a bunch of groups. And he was like, "I want everybody thinking right now, and you just got to really dig deep and think." And the ideas that came out of those, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 breakout groups were phenomenal. And I remember these 3 words kind of rose to the top after that whole. Those 3 words came from all of us think tank working together to come up with descriptive words. And we weren't even told 3 words. We were just told come up with ideas. So assemble, move, and coat came together. Now, me, coming from a long line of, or a long history in the coding side, I completely understood what that was. So, and I do understand the others, but I'll let you describe what they are.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we did during that time, part of that rebrand, which I think was, I would say this, it probably would have taken, it could have taken a lot less time if that group were much, much smaller.
Yes.
Right? But I don't know that we would have had the level of buy-in and input and ideas that came through that. So yes, it took us a little bit longer to do it that way, but I think the output was much better and it was much stronger, and I think there was a lot more buy-in from people that had a part of it. So, being able to sort of break those groups out, and we intentionally broke that out to have really representation from every functional group within the company. Right, so whether your sales or your marketing, your shipping, receiving, your service department, project management, whatever it is.
Cross-pollination.
Yeah, because the idea was, what is their power to you? And there was a lot more than that. But obviously, what does it mean to our customers? What do we say to our customers? What do our customers feel? And so where Assemble, Move, Coat came out, to your point, like where this rebrand idea started, right? We went through a logo change, and it was never really about the logo. It was really about the story, right? The brand, and what does it say to your customer? And the way that started, quite honestly, was we've got some pretty expansive lab capabilities here in High Point. We also have in Chattanooga. We also do in Greenville, and we've got these places set up that we call centers of excellence, right? So High Point certainly is a center of excellence, and we bring customers in here for runoffs, and undoubtedly, at least the first year that I was here, every time a customer would come in here, they would always say, "Wow, I didn't know you did that. I didn't know you did that." And so my initial question to the account manager was like, "Well, isn't that your job to make sure that the customer knows what we do?" But at the same time, I took a step back and said, "Hey, if you can't articulate that well to the customer, we're probably not giving you a good story to tell." And that's really where the rebrand started. And so we went from talking internally about finishing and applied fluids and tool and assembly solutions to customer processes, right? What do these manufacturers do, and what does the equipment, right, that we sell and also create solutions for do in the marketplace? So it really became more of a customer-focused process discussion. So, if you assemble, as generic as it sounds, right, if you assemble stuff, if you move stuff, or if you coat stuff, like, we can help you. And so when you look in each one of those buckets, you talk about assembly, and it's putting stuff together, and that might be, putting stuff together with some fasteners, right? It might be putting stuff together with structural adhesives, right? So if you screw it together or if you glue it together, right, we can help you. We've got equipment that can help do that. When you talk about moving, you really talk about liquid, but you also talk about solid. So it's really about getting something from point A to point B. That could be on a conveyor. It could be on a manipulator. It could be a pump, right? It could be a circulation system.
Ergonomic lifting.
Right. All of those things when we talk about move. And then obviously coat, it's I think Neil Cutler actually put a really good description on our company video about, you protect or beautify, right? So whether it's a liquid application or it's a powder application, whether it's pre-treatment of that, whether it's post-treatment, right? Whether it's curing of it, all of that surrounds that coating process. And so we think it just, not to say make for a good story, it resonates with customers, right? You can easily talk about what it is that we do, and that's actually by design. One of the things that we did, I remember talking through this process, is And Cabrina's a great example because she was relatively new still, or Cabrina and Amanda both in the marketing, and they didn't know nearly the depth of what we did, right? So you start asking somebody who doesn't necessarily know who we are and what we do about how you describe this, and now you get to a story that you can tell that anybody can understand, right?
Correct.
So that's where the Assemble Moving Coat came from.
The interesting thing is that these really complement each other, because you can lead into a company. A lot of times we'll talk about leading in, we might lead in with a vendor, but we might lead in with somebody who needs a product. We're going in with something in the coatings realm. So you can lead in with the coatings realm. The lead might come into Air Power because they found out that we sell booths or ovens or powder coating equipment. And then once the account manager goes in, 99 times out of 100, they're going to have opportunities here and here. Assemble and move. Now all of a sudden there's a lot of opportunities. You talk about a lot of the manufacturers that we deal with. Most of them are not making a widget that goes somewhere else. Most of them are making something, but they're taking a lot of parts, moving pieces, and they're putting them through their processes, and then they're assembling them.
Right.
And then the final thing a lot of times is the coat process or whatever. Or final might not be coat, final might be assembly. And then, you have your finished product. So you go in there wanting to sell them a booth or a lead for a Gema powder gun, and you're walking out with, 200 DA sanders and impact.
Right. Yep.
So it's interesting to see how those cross over.
Yeah, that's the idea. And I think it resonates with customers. And to your point, I'm not saying there aren't customers who only do one of those things, because there are customers. We have customers that only do sort of one of those things.
True.
But seldom do you find customers, and the bulk of our customers are doing multiple processes within.
You find out a lot of material handling.
Yeah.
Where they're just taking this and they're sending it there, or they're moving it. And so you have to have specialized moving devices to go from one to the other, and lifts. And see, that's terminology that you live and breathe. You understand that,
right?
And, we'll just call you preacher. So we were talking about this, and this comes up frequently also about our layers of support. Mm-hmm. And you and I met a little bit before this, and we actually found 6 instead of 5, 6 plus. But for anybody who's interested in potentially working with Air Power as their supplier, as their solutions provider, it's very important for them to understand how we set things up, how Air Power is set up. You have led this, there was a little bit of that prior, but it's really structured now. And the cross-pollination that comes from that with cross-training also is really important. But so the first layer of support would be account manager.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the way that we have it designed, I think it's a competitive advantage. Certainly, right? We you talk about the whole small enough to care and being close to the market to serve. I talked about the 9 branches that we have, and just to kind of give you an idea of the way we break down, we've got 3 regions, what we consider 3 regions, and that's the West and the Central and the East, right? We've got 3 regional sales leaders. And the reason why we structured it, that's not how we were always structured. The reason why we structured it that way was because business looks different, right, in Virginia than it does in Alabama, okay? So
Tennessee, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi is going to be a lot different than...
Yeah, just the expectation that things are going to be the same right in every territory, I think is unrealistic. So the goal was to be able to have individual leadership, certainly, right, with each one of those regions. Now, what we want the customer experience to be the same, whether you're dealing with a customer in Tupelo, Mississippi, or you're dealing with a customer in Baltimore, Maryland. That's what we expect, and that's what we talk about from an account manager standpoint. But the way that we have the structure set up, we've got account managers set up, and our goal is to have territories that are small enough that they don't have 6-hour driving radiuses, right? Because what we ask them to do is we ask them to sell Air Power, right? And talk to customers and and customers' processes around assemble, move, and code. And it's difficult to ask somebody to be a subject matter expert in every single thing that we have, right? But you've got those account managers, you've got generally a branch manager and an inside sales team support, right? Who many times talks to more customers than even an account manager, because customers are calling in and they're dealing with purchase
And the branch manager and inside sales as a team is working from, a lot of times the call is coming in to them asking for help.
Correct.
Or asking to purchase something. But a lot of times there's a lot of questions. They know what they need to do, but they don't necessarily know what they need to buy,
right,
or for the solution. So that's where the account manager comes in. So there's the other level there attached to the account manager is the sales manager. So you had mentioned each one of those three regions.
Yep.
You know, each of those regions has a leader,
correct,
a sales manager.
Yep.
That's really first line of defense for the account manager.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so you have a sales leader, obviously, right? Then you have an application specialist. So the way that I say subject matter experts, but we call them application specialists, and they're within these competencies, as we call them, right? Assemble, move, or code. Yep. So we've got distributed product specialists for finishing. We've got system specialists for finishing. We've got a powder specialist, and we've got a filter specialist, right? That's a role that you play. Then we have tool and assembly solutions, or on the assemble side, we've got application specialists specific to that. So those guys and girls are not asked to be everything to everybody. They're very laser focused,
right,
on that specific piece of the business.
So when it goes down to the account manager working with a customer, and the account manager has an opportunity with that customer, or in concert, the two of them together need that support, that laser focus, if we call it, on choosing the right powder booth that they need for their coat application.
Yep.
Or it might be to choose the right impact, impact wrench or impact or torque, that they need to find.
Yeah.
How to measure that, and how to record, measure the data, record the data, capture it. That's when you call that person, that application specialist, in to deal with that. So all three of these segments have the application specialists.
Yeah, not to go on about that, but I like to give my baseball analogy that I told you about, right? So I think it resonates I told this story to somebody a few months ago, and they didn't know anything about baseball, so it kind of fell flat. But but if you think about baseball, we ask our account managers to be the starting pitcher. And many times in a game, the starting pitcher pitches from inning 1 to inning 9, complete game, right? And we've got guys and girls that do that every single day. There's other times where there may be something that they're not as much of an expert on as they are of other things, right? And so what I say is, hey, sometimes you pitch a complete game, sometimes you get shelled in the 5th inning. So just like a starting pitcher, right, you've got a relief pitcher. And that's how I look at how we talk about application specialists. Now I bring in sort of my closer. If I get into the 7th inning, or if I get into middle relief, I bring in my closer. That's my application specialist. And generally, because they're a subject matter expert, right, they're going to help us make sure that we get the right application equipment or solution for the customer. Now, behind that, right, the application engineer is a technical specialist. Right, and those are the guys and gals, right, that I say, okay, so the application specialist knows 99% of this, and maybe this is the other 1% where they've got to get, okay, well, let me get my tech data sheet, let me figure out how we're actually going to make this work, right? So we've got that layer of support. Then we've got an engineering team, right, as another layer of support. And then we've got a project management team, right, for these large systems opportunities. Across each one of these sides of our business, we've got a project management, we've got an installation team, right? So we've got multiple layers for a customer. And I think it's one of the things that differentiates us from our competition. I think helps us serve our customers really well. There's a lot of day-to-day stuff. There are a lot of projects that account managers handle every single day on their own. There's a lot of things that customer service and branch managers handle every single day on their own. But when they need that layer of support, they've got sort of my helpline, right, that I pick up the phone and call. My subject matter expert. So.
Correct. To add to that, we have I'm excited. Tomorrow I'm going to be actually doing the interview with Tim Hines, talking about the service department repair centers. that's another layer. We don't have to all the time. We don't have to go back to the manufacturer when we have issues on certain tools, on spray guns, pumps, fluid delivery systems. We don't have to necessarily always take those back to the manufacturer because we have manufacturer authorized and supported repair centers here within Air Power.
Yeah, it's a big deal for us.
It's
and
huge.
Whenever we have, not only to our customers, but with our manufacturing partners, right? We want to be able to service what we sell, period, right? If there's a situation where we can't service what we sell, it's generally because of some sort of warranty consideration, right, from the manufacturer.
A lot of times the manufacturer wants to look at
right,
it.
but that's very slim.
Yeah.
That's what I mean from a warranty standpoint, right? There may be some sort of root cause analysis that they want to check.
Correct.
But by and large, we service what we sell. And that goes to the point of, we talk about service capability closer to the customer. That's why we've tried to take our service guys, both bench service and also field service, closer to the customer, right? To be first line of defense, to make sure that, hey, we can take care of the customer. I might have somebody there that can get there in an hour, right? If I'm Tupelo, Mississippi, right? So we've got somebody there that's close. They've also got another layer of support, right, to help them. So, that's by design, and we think that's extremely, not sure what the word is. That's the way that we want to try to. Yeah, that's the way we want to try to service our customers.
Yep. All right, so we were talking about all of our different layers of support. I also wanted to add, we have the manufacturers all have a regional rep.
Yeah.
So our Graco's, Carlisle's, Donna Braid, whoever, whatever segment, IR, whoever they are, we have somebody that's a resource for us, and it's very good. And then beyond that, we can go back to the manufacturer themselves at the factory where they produce, and there's always a support layer there. And then you touched on them a little bit, but I want to make sure I highlight these. The additional layers of support, like product management or project management. We have our very own installation or engineering team right behind that door, behind where we are right now. Installation teams for Air Power that go out everywhere to install whatever, booths, ovens, tool centers, whatever.
Systems,
and then the strategic warehousing in 9 or so locations.
Yeah, we try to keep. It's kind of we've got stock, we've got service where we have stock, right? So there's multiple locations. We had a couple sales offices, right? Raleigh was a sales office, Charlotte was a sales office. But by and large, those locations that we have both service and inventory.
Correct. Another thing, we don't have a lot of turnover at Air Power. There's not a heavy turnover here. You explain the phenomenon behind that, or the purpose, or what leads to a low turnover.
Good solid leadership. That's what I would say. I mean, I think it's
There's something to that, though.
There's something I think it has something to do with the culture, right? I think it has something to do with the transparency. I think that is offered here at Air Power. I've had this conversation with you, and I've had it with anybody that would have it. I mean, the most important thing for me, and I think for us, is the people that are represented and the families that are represented here, right? At Air Power, and that's a lot. And so, if our focus, I joke all the time that we're not doing brain surgery here, right? And but our work is important because it's important for our customers. Our job is to take care of our customers, which in turn allows us to take care of the families that are part of Air Power. And I think that's an important piece, certainly, of what keeps people here. I also think it's important to offer people opportunities to grow. Right, and we're not a huge organization, right, with lots of layers. So growth doesn't always mean from the bottom to the top. It can be sideways, and I think that's one of the things that we always ask ourselves. I believe wholeheartedly in promoting from within. So, if you look at the different levels or layers or application specialists or different roles, even within project management or in our service department or shipping and receiving,
finishing lab.
We've got people, employees who started in a place and have moved to different opportunities as things have come up. Sure, it would be easy for us to take openings or as we grow, always hire externally. But our goal is to, if we have somebody who is capable and who is interested, right, and has the aptitude, we certainly want to give that person the opportunity to grow. And
Correct.
I think that I don't want to say creates loyalty, but I think that means a lot to people to have an opportunity to grow within the company that they're part of. So.
Well, let's just look at this really quick. If you think about some of the senior management within this organization, if I remember right, Darren Stone, who's now the general manager of the company, started out in possibly the warehouse.
Yeah.
Scott Lambeth, who's
Scott Lawrence.
and
Scott Lambeth.
Scott Lambeth started out in the warehouse,
Yeah.
I do believe.
Yep.
And we're talking. We touched a little bit earlier on David Gunner. It's part of that original core of 10 or
Sure.
so companies, right, or 10 of employees. One of the originals. But what I didn't say was how many people that have worked for this company for 2, 3, 4 decades that are still here.
Yeah.
It's a huge number.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah.
and it's regionally all over too.
Sure.
So it's definitely a stable company with people that have been here a long time by choice.
Yeah, and I think it's. I mean,
Don't stay here if you
I
don't
say
wanna be
right.
here.
I say this all the time, and I say I know our work is serious, and we have to take care of our customers. Obviously, we're in business to make money. All those things, they go without saying. But I really do believe that this is for me too, right? If I go too many days in a row and I'm not having fun, I need to look to do something different. I just believe that's true, and I would tell that to anybody that's a part of our organization. Like if you're not having fun, if you're miserable, you need to look for something else, and that might be better for you. It might be better for us, and that's not that I want to run people off. I love who we are, and I love what we do, and it's a lot of fun. Is every day a blast? No, right? There's tough situations, and this year has certainly been one of those tough, kind of years with all things COVID. So every day's not been a joy, but I find joy in places every day. Being
I find joy in the fact that I haven't had COVID yet.
Yeah, right.
Woo!
Right. Yep.
Better knock on some
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that really quick. It's been a challenging year for our customers,
Sure.
for the vendors to Air Power,
Yep.
and it's been a hard year on us.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into how many cases we've had or this or that, but the overall impact, how has it been to Air Power over this?
I mean, I think that I don't know that it gets lost. I think what gets lost a lot of times is the mental impact that it has. That doesn't always present itself as clear as the physical impact or even the financial impact. For us, we made a decision really early on, not only from a health standpoint, like how do we keep people healthy, but for the business and for the good of our employees. We took an approach that was different than a lot of other distributors took and a lot of our manufacturers took, and we did a bit of a shared sacrifice. But I'm really proud of the way that we've sort of made our way. And I don't know that we're through, but made our way to this point, without losing a single employee.
Right.
It makes me really proud, and that's a huge thanks, to our people, our team that are part of Air Power, because everybody, has sacrificed again. Financially, mentally, and it's been a drain. It's
Right.
not without its challenges. The challenges of trying to get in and see customers and service customers. We were fortunate. About right before the time when COVID really hit and started locking down, we were just
March,
moving.
April.
Yeah, we were just
Yeah.
moving to a new virtual platform. Right, we landed on GoToMeeting. We tested out several ones, and we were just moving to that before the COVID.
From the old dial-up
Correct.
phone number
Yeah.
conference calls.
So one of the, it's a positive from my perspective, because I think it's going to be a part of our business going forward.
Absolutely.
Right? I'm not saying we're fantastic at it, but we've gotten pretty good.
We've gotten really
at
good as an
virtual.
organization.
We've done virtual training. We've done virtual runoffs. We've done virtual demos. We've done virtual buy-offs. It's been with live video cameras. We've had cameras back in our lab, and I think what it has forced us to do, probably like many other companies, is get creative. Right? You can't continue to try to offer the same solutions that you were offering 9 months ago to customers and expect to be able to service them the way they want to be serviced.
Yeah, well, there was this phenomenon that had never happened before, where all of a sudden we're all being sent to these meetings. All of a sudden, meetings are required.
Yeah.
Go to meeting. Everybody's at home. Some people are at the office, but less. And all of the account managers that are in the field are at home. Some of our branch members, team members, are home.
Yep.
We have some employees that might, for health reasons or whatever, needed to stay home. So all of a sudden, everybody's going to this platform of meetings, the GoToMeeting and whatnot. And what was interesting was that at first it was kind of weird. Like, everybody was like, "Well, how are we going to do this?" But then all of a sudden, you got 47 invites to trainings from all of our top vendors.
Yeah.
They understood very quickly the value of it. We understood the value of it from an internal training. I know that I was asked to put together one for filter training. That's what my responsibility is. So, but you said something weeks after this was in place. You said something that I'll never forget. You were like, "Listen," and this message went to every employee in the company. "If you do not take the time and the opportunity, the luxury of taking these meetings in and learning from them, if there's something, by the time we get out of this COVID phenomenon, if you do not know anything that we do or anything, any type of equipment or service that we offer, if you come out of this not knowing that, we have a real problem."
Yeah.
Because you now have the luxury of having all this time to take those meetings. And I'm telling you, I remember many days in May, June, July, because I'm normally a road warrior. I cover all. I'm one of the rare ones that cover all of Air Power's footprint.
Right.
So I'm gone 2-3 days a week a lot of times, and I just remember, when you're at home and it's different.
Yeah.
My wife, it was really different for her to have me home 24/7 all day long.
Yeah.
But I will say that going through that, cross-training opportunities that I even had into tools, into material handling, was fantastic.
Yeah.
And,
I think that, again, try to find some of the silver lining, right? To me, I think that is some of the silver lining, and I think I'm glad you remembered that, because you were sort of reading my mind. It felt like about, if we didn't take the opportunity, right, to become what I would call a better value to our customers, shame on us, right?
But a lot of that does go to our vendors. Our vendors did a fantastic job adapting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And right away we had training opportunities that kept us focused.
Well, and it speaks to just not to get off of the COVID topic, but when it comes to our manufacturing partners, right? We've got a lot of lines, and I don't mean this that we've got suppliers and we've got tons of lines, because we have a lot of different products that are ancillary to some of the core stuff that we do, and that's necessary. We also have some really strategic partnerships, and it's one of the key things that I believe makes us who we are. Not just our people, right, but our partnerships. And our partnerships with several of these manufacturers are extremely deep. And I've told these manufacturers that just the truth is that we do some really cool stuff, and I love who we are and what we do. However, without our manufacturing partners, we would not be able to do what we do for our customers.
Right. That's right. Yeah, I was talking to Cabrina, who's actually producing this whole podcast, and Cabrina was going to roll up on our website. We have a really cool page that is called Our Brands.
A lot of cool pages.
We have a lot there. We might even do a podcast where we actually walk through everything that's available on the website, because it's pretty
a lot there.
Pretty awesome.
Yep.
But it's growing every day. But there is a page on there about our brands that we work with, and any company, people that you work with. There are some that you work with, like you said. There's some you work with a lot, And there's some that are kind of ancillary, like they're a little bit, but we're not a huge vendor, or not a huge vendor to us. But in this case, we have on our website a top 50 brands.
Right.
And the top 50 brands all have a logo on this brands page, and you click on their logo and you go out to a landing page for that brand, and they've worked with us to provide quick, easy access information on them, who they are, what they do, an overview, and you can go from there off to their website or whatever. But just to know that those brands, there's triple, quadruple more that we deal with, but just to know that there's 50 brands even that we do a lot of business with.
Well, and part of that too,
and they're partners.
Yeah, part of that criteria, right, in being to sort of have one of those highlight pages, and not just the volume of business we do with them, but to be able to get sort of on that page. This is a reciprocal kind of a thing, right?
Correct.
We obviously have a jump off point to their site, but they also direct business.
They're working with us.
And customers back to us, right, with a distributor locator and things like that.
Because they like it when they're doing business when they're doing business with us. So encouraging that to people that need to utilize their products, it's in their best interest to have them do the business with us.
Sure.
So it helps.
Yep.
Talking about business, I know I've been involved a little bit in this, but we have quite some quite exciting changes with e-commerce, with AirPower coming up quickly and soon.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
Been a journey.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone through a transition. We embarked on this transition with ERP systems a couple of years ago, right? It went full bore with SAP Business One beginning of last year, and the whole goal for that was, right, we had been on our old system for 20 plus years, and it's not that it wasn't functional, but we had just outgrown it. And so for the ability for us to be able to scale our business the way that we want to try to scale our business, we had to move to a different platform. And so, yeah, as we looked at that, we, believe it or not, we've had a web store that was a front end of that, but it was what I call stealth marketing. We didn't really tell anybody about it. We didn't really let them know it was there. We actually did a little bit of business through that. We had some customers that really liked that, but we really didn't tell anybody about that. Quite honestly, it wasn't as functional as what it needed to be. So part of our integration moving forward, marketing has been involved in this, and we've got some other resources that are working on our e-commerce platform for 2021. We're pretty excited about it. I think we'll be rolling that out, in January. We may start with our top 100, SKUs, if you want to call it that.
Right.
But we're trying to make sure, again, like, what's that customer experience like? There's a lot of customers, and even if you think about the COVID time and the way customers continue to clamp down on visits, right? Some repeat business type stuff, whereas today, customer has to cut a PO and things like that. Maybe it's easier for them to do a P card, right? And they can easily purchase product on our web store. It's got their account, all their information is tied directly into our ERP system. I'm stoked about that. I think it's going to be fantastic. I think it's going to be great for our customers. I think it's going to be great for our account managers. I think it's going to be great for our inside sales and CSR. So,
do we have a date on launch for that yet?
Well, the date that I had was end of the year, but we're not going to make that.
It's
going
to be, but it'll. I would guess it's first quarter of 2021.
Yeah, first quarter for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to push us to be ready before the end of the first quarter.
2021, please help us.
But I think we'll get there. Surely before the end of the first quarter. And we'll be sending out information, right, to our customers, also internally, and we're going to take some test drives and things like that. But we're super excited about that. The branding, will obviously match our branding on our website and all that kind of stuff. Functionality should be seamless and should work really well. So
and the website will actually, or the e-commerce function will actually be, products. You could find products by the way we utilize, by the way they're utilized in the plant.
Yeah, much like I would say that much like
follow a structure.
Yeah, much like we talk about assemble, move, coat, right? it's easy to get caught up in your own terminology and to see things the way you see
Correct.
things. And so we really try to get out of that and really go from the customer's perspective. Like, what is the customer looking for? How would they look for this? What would they Google if they were looking for a product?
I know I was reached out to
Yeah.
by the management here at AirPower to, okay, filters are a big business for us. So how do they look for them?
Right.
And the way we had them done prior to me being involved with it was not functional at
Right.
all. It was somebody else's understanding of how we should put filters down. So I was asked to put together a structure
Yep.
so that if somebody's looking for an intake filter on a batch booth, how to do that.
Yep.
Or if they're looking for a standard intake filter versus diffusion media,
Yeah.
how do we find that? And it really does follow a logical library science.
Yeah. Well, and the
to
idea,
find
right,
those.
is that all roads lead to the same place, right? There's
Correct.
multiple ways to get here, right? If you limit it to one way to get there, your chances of getting everybody to find the right thing, it's going to end up being frustration. The other thing that we really were trying to focus on was, sort of, I say 3 clicks and a cloud of dust, but we really don't want to make it painful. Like, you want to easily be able to find
Get
this.
there
You don't want to
quick.
spend all day doing 7. And our old website, if you remember that, our old website, I mean, you could find stuff, and there was tons of stuff on there, but I mean, you had to click about 30 times.
Yeah,
it was
40
like
clicks
It was
down.
like a maze,
I made it.
And you know this as well as I do. Like, people just don't have the patience for that. Think about what manufacturers have had to do and customers have had to do, the scaling back that they've had to do, people doing multiple jobs. I just need to go quickly find what I need to find and move on. I'm not going to spend 20 minutes trying to do my research to
That's
purchase
correct.
this. So we're trying to simplify that process. One thing I wanted to hit on real quick,
Please do.
Travis, just because we
It's a
glazed on.
podcast.
Oh, I
We can
know.
do
but
whatever we
I don't want
want.
to ramble on for too long, but I did want to highlight just a couple of the things that we've done outside of a lot of the structure changes that we've made, which I think have been really exciting, and I think we're set up really well, have been the last couple of years, and I think going forward, I think it gives us the ability to scale our business and serve our customers the way they expect to be served. But we made a couple of acquisitions in the last couple of years, and Lee Patterson was an acquisition that we made in
Correct.
2019, early 2019, started in March or so. And they're down in Florida, actually longer in business than us. 1947, I think, is when they were their business started, and it had been a business that had been handed through or purchased through some generations. And we had several of our vendor partners had asked us for a couple of years about business in Florida, and so anyways, we had that conversation. It was a great add for us because when you look at Assemble, Move, and Coat, they did one of the 3 things that we do. They were
Right.
primarily almost exclusively finishing. They had a little bit of tool business, but almost exclusively finishing. So for us, it was a footprint ad, right, in a place that we did some business in down in Florida, but it was also an opportunity to take sort of the rest of the AirPower business model to be able to service those customers. So that was super exciting for us. And then in July, actually, of this year, Zenmar up in Cockeysville, Maryland, was an acquisition that we made, and I'm so excited about that team and that group of people and what they bring to AirPower. Again, one of the 3 things. They were more on the tool and material handling side of our business, and so we're super excited about the ability to take the finishing and the sealants and adhesives and be able to bring that. They've got a service team, they've got installation team, so that really is accretive to the team that we already have. So now we've got a bigger team with a broader skill set, a greater opportunity to cross-train, which is exciting for us, and then be able to bring that same model and that same value to the customers up in that region. So I just wanted to hit that before we
that's
kind of
fantastic.
got done. Super excited about those businesses and bolting those on right to AirPower and becoming part of this family and being able to continue to serve customers in new markets. So.
Yeah, I've been exposed to the team in Florida.
Yep.
With Lee Patterson, which is now AirPower. Great team down there. I've done just recently, in the last couple of weeks, was down there working with that team. And then
Great presence, really
great
strong,
presence,
brand name down there. Yep.
respected for a long history in
Yep.
Florida. And you're right. AirPower brings another bag of tricks to their mix of products.
Yep.
And strengthens that. And then I've met Lorne out of the Maryland, out of Zenmar. But that's it. I worked with a
Yeah.
couple individuals on the phone, but that's scheduled for first quarter. I know I'll be up there working with those teams there, so I'm looking forward to it.
That's a great team up there too, and the other thing that brings, right? So one of the things that team did, much like Lee Patterson, right? Not only do we bring benefit to them, they certainly bring skill sets, but they also have other partnerships. So there are some new partnerships, right, that have been founded. I mean, you think about, it's not about brand proliferation, right? But it's about, we pride ourselves on partnering with and providing the best solutions in the marketplace. And so there's some really powerful additional brands and relationships
Like
Harrington, like Gorbel, Southworth, Interpack. Those are some big brand names, right? And great product in the market. Customers, those names resonate with customers.
Right.
And so those are really exciting to be able to sort of bring those on board and also be able to.
Well, you look at the impact of that. You look how just in the last month and a half, that relationship with Interpack translated to communication between Interpack and Air Power corporate, which turned into that being handed over to marketing department, which I work with.
Yep.
So myself and the team in the marketing department, we actually got Jerome Wood, who's one of our top application specialists in the tool side, that did a live filming with, was that Facebook Live?
I don't remember that.
It was a live event that took place over social media, and it was fantastic. But that 100% comes from that relationship being fostered from Air Power acquiring Zenmar, which shows exactly why our company does those types of things.
Yep.
It's easy to acquire somebody just because they have some existing sales. It's another thing to think about acquiring a company strategically because it marries like products together or similar processes together that make us more powerful as a company product offering in the field.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's also, just that process. I think what can get taken for granted easily is the cultural fit. Right, but in both of those cases, just the people that have been involved there, it's been a really great cultural fit. I think with sort of who we are and what we do has fit in really well with Lee Patterson team and the Zenmar team as well. So that's exciting. I think we're super excited to have them, both of them, and I think they're super excited to be here. I think they see the opportunities that we bring to the table, and we certainly see the opportunities that they bring to the table. So it's exciting stuff moving forward into 2021 for sure.
Fantastic. So last question. What do you like to do for fun? What do you do? What's your hobby?
Sounds terrible, but I'll give a shout out to my F3 group, right? So I sound like a nut, but I've got a group of guys that I work out with and run with, and so they're early morning, 4:45 a.m. So that sounds like it's not a lot of fun, but for me, it's a lot of fun. So I run a lot. It's all outdoors. It's all peer led. And I would just tell you, it's sort of like a leadership group, right? So different guys have to lead the workout, which is really cool. So that's what I do for fun. And I hang out with my kids. We got 3 kids. They're super busy. We're super active. And then every other weekend I cut grass, if you can believe it, at Pinehurst number 8. So I give a shout out there. That's a job I've had for 15 years or so. And it used to be and still is to some degree, it used to be a little bit of a zen opportunity for me, I felt like. You get out there, the sun is coming up, it's just quiet, you just hear nature, and it was a great opportunity to just decompress. But that's when I walk behind one of these little walk-behind mowers, and I've got one of these big triplex mowers, and you don't want to nod off and be thinking something when you drive one of those things, man. You go off into the ditch.
Yo, Senff, your lines are off.
Right. So, those are the things. Those are the things that I do. Those are the things
good. Good. Yep. Unfortunately, folks, running is not in my morning schedule. It may need to be.
Not for everybody. I don't.
All right. Well, Air Power. You can visit us, airpowerlive.com, airpower-usa.com, airpower-airwaves.com. There's multiple ways of finding us. But if you've got any questions, you want to reach out to Dan, You could call us at our 800 number at 1-800-334-1001. Hopefully we'll have all that information right up about right here where they can read it. But again, the main website for our company is airpower-usa.com. We do have, this is launching the first one of the AirPower podcasts, Airwaves.com. And then really what's been our YouTube presence, of just building up videos.
Yep.
We've had videos on our website for a long time. We post videos on the AirPower website all the time. But we're creating a nice catch-all area on our website that will, now that we've kind of branded the AirPower Live as our video side, you could go to airpowerlive.com and we will have videos there that will be searchable by, you could find them and sort through them by what areas they represent. So something in powder coating, if we have a video on powder application or powder equipment or powder booths or powder cartridge filters or whatever, it'll all be there. Social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, all of the above, YouTube. Please go to those channels and share them, tell your friends about them, tell your coworkers about them. And to sign off here, I guess I'd like to say thank you, Dan.
Hey, thank you.
The COVID,
yeah,
here we go.
Yeah, this has been great. I appreciate the opportunity to do this, and I love the opportunity to talk about AirPower, just kind of who we are and what we do, and a lot of the talented people that are part of our organization. Really proud of our team, and I'm really proud of the efforts that are put forth by everybody that's part of this team. So this is a really cool opportunity for me to get a chance to kind of talk, and if you've hung in there this long to hear all this, thank you for doing that. So I appreciate you guys putting this together. I'm excited about this sort of being a jump off point as we move forward. And I'd love to come back and as you can tell, I love to talk. So I'd love to come back and talk anytime.
We can update as often as you want.
Right on.
I do not want to do a monthly update with you though.
Right on. No.
Quarterly?
Quarterly maybe. Maybe.
All right. And unlike the normal saying, make it a great day, we're going to end this one by saying, manufacture it a great day. Have a great one. We hope you have a healthy new 2021.
Yeah.
And join us for a lot more fun in the coming year.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
Manufacture it a great day, y'all.
Take care.